How's it going, guys? IW here. In today's video, I want to do a quick little review on my 1997 Toyota Supra SZR. So this Supra, it's a little bit different than the Supras that would have been sold in America. This one's right-hand drive, non-turbo car, but it has a couple cool things that makes this one a little bit different than the US cars, and in a good way. This car has some cool options that you could get in Japan for these SZRs. Specifically, this car has twin turbo brakes, front and rear. So in addition to having the turbo brakes, one of my favorite things about this car, and the whole reason that I bought this car, is it has the twin turbo 6-speed Getrag transmission. This one has a little bit different gear ratio. I'm not sure what the gear ratio is exactly, but it's a little bit different than the turbo cars, but it is the same strength as the turbo cars. It's the V161. The US cars sent here have the V160, except for I think maybe the later ones might have had the V161, but I know like the later ones in Japan did have the V161 transmission. Really sweet option that this car had was it has the Recaro speed confetti seats. These were, believe it or not, factory in this car. And one way that you can tell if you see a JZA 80, like a right-hand drive Mark IV, if you see one of these and it has these seats, one way you can tell if they're factory is these guides. If these guides are felt, like they have like a felt material, they're original. This one I had reupholstered. This was added, you can see the color difference. And they broke this. This was felt originally, but sadly they broke it. So that's one way you can tell if they're original, unless they've been broken like mine. This car, the interior's in pretty decent shape. Like the door panels are okay. That door panel has like one area, and then the bottom of it's kind of rough, just a little bit down there. And then this dash panel doesn't fit properly anymore because the dash is a little warped, so this doesn't set in there. But I mean, it's an old car. I mean, this one's one of the younger ones of the Mark IVs, but they're gonna have some problems. This one was kind of cheap. It was expensive, but for me, but it was cheap on the scale of Supras, so it's gonna have some problems and things like a little bit of warping here and stuff, and a little bit of warping here and stuff. But you're gonna have that stuff, and as long as it's not cracked, I'm not too worried about it. You got like, I think like a cigarette burn or something like that. Console. And this one has HKS floor mats. I put these in, but super cool, like 80s, 90s JDM. Here's a view you won't see very often. The back seat of a Mark IV Supra. So here's a little bit of the interior. It's easier to get a view of the interior from way back here. You can see kind of everything from back here, and you don't have to hold the phone close to your face. Since this is a 97, this is a Series 2, I almost said RX-7. We were driving RX-7s earlier, sorry. But since this is a Series 2, it has this gray interior right here. These panels, it's gray. It was a little different, it was black for the earlier ones. This one, being a Series 2 in Japan, also has the analog clock. This car we put in a Kenwood radio. This radio, it works great, but it doesn't set in there right. And I think it might be due to the dash, like the panel sitting out, like I said. So, and then the face kind of hits the panel, so the face doesn't pop out. I really want to try to get a Sony radio, and that would set the face down a little bit farther, so it might set a little bit better, because this one doesn't set in there great. From over here you can see like the gap, but it's just something I deal with. It's okay. I do have a new one of these panels with a new shift boot, because these shift boots aren't easy to change. But yeah, the back seat's pretty good shape. The back seat up here, it's a little bit hard, but it's not cracking yet, so I have this cover on it. Just, I mean, it looks cool, matches the floor mats a little bit, and it stops some sun from beating down on those and cracking it, hopefully. Hopefully that saves it for a while. And there's the wing that everybody loves of a Supra. Yeah, not many people sit back here. Not many people can sit back here, but this is the back seat of a Mark IV Supra. Back up front of the Mark IV Supra, we have a TRD 10K tach and 320 kilometers an hour speedometer. These are very rare and very expensive if you can find them. Thankfully, this car came with them. However, I think I'm probably going to take them out, put them on a shelf, or put them in a box. Kind of sacrilege, but Stu Hagen makes a really nice LED upgrade, and I don't really want to send this cluster to him. I would rather buy one from him and just stick it in so I don't have to worry about shipping, because if this got lost in shipping, I don't know what I'd do. There's nothing really I could do, but it's really sweet that this car had it when I bought it. Anyway, the car has the Series 2 triple gauges here. This was a non-turbo, so it doesn't have the boost gauge. It's got the voltmeter. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the interior of the Mark IV. It has folding mirrors, so it's got the folding mirror switch. Why is it? There we go. But yeah, that was the interior of my 97 Mark IV Supra. Oh, I have the JGTC Tom's Castrol Supra. Oh, and the best race car ever made, Mazda. Onto the exterior of the Mark IV Supra. This car is in pretty good shape. It's got some imperfections, like this front fender could use some paint work. They had like a guard or something on it, I think, and it's hard to see in the video. There you can see, like, it almost looks like there's no clear here and there's clear coat there. But I mean, like, for what I paid for this car, it wasn't going to be perfect. I'll get that painted eventually if I keep the car. If you saw some of my other videos, you might know that I'm not the happiest of this car. It's just got so many little things that I'd like to be different. But it's an old car. A lot of people fail to realize that these are old cars, and they weren't perfect, and for a while they were cheap, so they weren't treated the best for a while. This one has 212,000 miles or something like that on it. You do the conversion, it's close to that. The front kind of looks a little boring. The car needs a lip. It's got the stock lip, but it needs a better lip on it. Sorry about the wind noise. It's always windy here, so a lot of these videos probably have wind noise in them. It's okay. But yeah, the headlight's rusting. I have a new headlight, a US Series 2 headlights. Those were kind of expensive. It does have the 97, 98 Series 2 grille, like this bar here. Those came on the 97, 98s. And since this is a 97 Series 2, in Japan it got the Series 2 front bumpers, whereas the earlier JDM cars, they would have had, this marker light would have been here. It would have been like a little thing there. It wouldn't have been the exact same, but it would have been on the fender. So in terms of body, this car has the same exact body as a US car, to my knowledge. I think the only difference between the bodies of these cars and the US cars, the rear wiper is on the opposite side. On the US cars it would be over here, whereas is over here. And the bumpers are different. If you guys know any other differences, let me know in the comments. I think that's it, but I don't know everything about Mark IVs. But yeah, the bumper on the US cars is solid there, whereas like the JDM ones are cut out. Not really sure why. I think it might have been so you could take the bumper off without taking the plate off, because in Japan they have like the plate locks. I have the plates for this car actually, like the original plates that were on this car in Japan. This car also came with a, I need to clean it up, it's got an HKS Silent high power exhaust, which is really cool. It sounds good, and it doesn't look bad. I mean, it fits the car. It's a Supra, so it's kind of got to have a big exhaust, and that one fits very well. It looks professional. This car had Blitz Z1s on it when I got it. I'll have to add some pictures here. This is what the Supra looked like when I first picked it up. This was still in the dealership at Craft Sports in Florida. This picture was taken at my high school. I used to drive my old Mark III here and always dreamed of owning a Mark IV, so I knew the first place I had to go whenever I got a Mark IV was to where I used to park my old Mark III. I really like the Blitz wheels better than the wheels that are on it now, but they really need a lot of work, so I'm going to tear them down and rebuild them and powder coat them. I think I'm going to do white because I really want a set of white wheels to go with the white body of the car. The car wasn't perfect when I first got it. The car's still not perfect, but I've done a lot to fix it. I had the rear bumper, the hatch, and the quarters and the roof painted. It had a little bit of rust up here in this crack. When I first got the car, it was a little bit of surface rust, so I had that taken care of just to keep the car in good shape. This was always my dream car when I was younger, as maybe many of you watching this might be your dream car. I wanted this one to be really nice, and I'm working on a 2JZ GTE swap soon, so if you guys want to see videos of that, let me know. Lastly, we'll talk about the drivetrain of this car. It's an SCR, so as you guys might have guessed at the beginning of the video, it's non-turbo. but it's going to be getting a 2JZ GTE swap soon, and it has the 6-speed get-drag transmission, so it's perfect for the swap. Just need to get a little bit more money put together, and then I'm going to finish up the swap hopefully by springtime 2025. The car has a Koyo Rad. We put that in it because the stock one it wasn't leaking, but it was close, you know. If you have a JZ in any car, a GS300, SC300, Mark III Supra, anything, Mark IV Supra, anything, and you have the stock pulley, you really want to replace that because those separate. That's a little PSA to anybody that doesn't know. I don't really like this Koyo because I can't run my stock airbox stuff. It didn't fit right, so that kind of sucks. It looks ugly in here. Just can't wait till it's turbo. I need to paint the bay, but I'm probably going to do the swap and then paint the bay later on. I mentioned about this car is this car has HKS Hypermax coilovers. I put those on. The stock suspension blew out when I first got the car. Maybe that's why I love this car so much. It's just every time I drive it, something else breaks, but that's okay. Old cars. This one has the TRD oil cap. Those are super rare and expensive now for some reason. They shouldn't be, but they are. And that's pretty much it about the motor. The motor's, I mean, pretty boring. It's a strong motor. These have the same rods as a GTE. It's just I didn't really want to turbo this motor. I would rather swap in a GTE, and I had a GTE already. If you don't have a GTE already, it's probably better to just turbo this motor and save a bunch of money than buying a GTE for the ridiculous price people are asking nowadays. But yeah, this car has a get-drag, so the turbo motor is going to be perfect with it, and it has a 200mm diff. It's not the 220 that came in the turbo cars, but for my power levels that I'm aiming for, I don't want to get lost in power. I'm not going for that anymore. I really just want 500 horsepower, so the stock 200mm diff is going to be plenty fine for my needs. But yeah, that was my Mark IV Supra. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. Hopefully you learned something, saw some cool options with these cars. Yeah, if you have any questions, comments, please leave them down below, and thanks for watching.